Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Counselor's Couch 101. I am still Jim Stump, although I have often tried to be other things. Ask me about that later. Um, Oftentimes, I'm talking with young people in particular, and they're anxious to accomplish things in life. They want to be married, they want to have those kids, they want that house, and they want to be able to afford a nice car and vacations, and they think like they're behind in the game of life, right? I hear that a lot. All my friends have good jobs, all my friends take my vacations and they drive nice cars, whatever. I hear that a lot. And I keep thinking to myself, oftentimes what we think we're seeing is not the reality. Much of what we compare ourselves to is what we see over television and movies and etc. And it seems like some people succeed very greatly at an early time in life, right? But that's not usually the case. Oftentimes, it takes time in order to achieve success and to maintain it, right? We don't necessarily get that first house when we're 20 years old. However, I've known people who have done it, and they did it in a very deliberate way. They made a plan and they stuck to their plan and they accomplished it. But sometimes that plan for that person doesn't fit anyone else. We have to follow the path that we've chosen and learn to expect what we should be able to expect at each point along the way, right? If you want to see how your life is going to go, check somebody out who's done what you're doing. Now, I don't know exactly what area you might be involved in, but let's say it's real estate. Let's say you want to sell real estate, you want to own real estate properties and all that. Well, look at people who have done that in the past and see how long it took them to accomplish the kind of success that you say you want for yourself, right? Oftentimes, it takes years to get to a certain point, right? Um, it's a very difficult business. Some people are really, really good at sales and they can go into real estate and they start making money pretty quickly. But a lot of other people have to spend time learning the craft and building up a reputation in the community and sticking with it over time in order to achieve what it is they wanted in the first place. Um, I'm trying to think of other careers that people might have gone in. If you go in a counseling career, for example, chances are excellent you're not going to make enough money to buy a house for a while, right? Um, but if we already knew that and we expected it and we could predict it for ourselves, then hopefully we're not dissatisfied with the progress that we've made so far. Oftentimes, people want to compare themselves to actors, right? And they want to say, okay, well, this young person, made a great movie when they were very, very young, and they never looked back. They had millions of dollars, and everything was happy, and they did all these things in the world, and etc. Sometimes that's the case of it, but oftentimes that early success can turn into self-destruction because those people oftentimes cannot maintain that level of success. Of course, there are exceptions. Don't start screaming at me. I understand that. But I've known a vast number of actors and entertainers of all sorts who simply sort of say they just didn't make it. They're really, really good, particularly singers. I've known a lot of really good singers who didn't achieve success in the field of recording. And it's not because they weren't good, it's just that there was so much competition. And that doesn't speak ill of the singer, it's the reality of the situation. And when you come up against something like that, you say, okay, what do I want to accomplish with what I have to offer the world and what the situation is, and how do I get to where I want to be? Look at it that way. I cannot compare a singer who's struggling in a career to an actress who had an instant success as a young person and had a lot of successes after that. It's hard to compare them because they're apples and oranges. Usually, the young person didn't achieve the success on their own. Someone else achieved it using them as the person in front of the camera, right? Somebody else pulled the strings. Did you have that kind of help behind you? If you didn't, how can you compare yourselves to that? I mean, you can, but probably not successfully. So, A lot of people, they want to push the river. They want to get it done early. They want to have that house and the success early on. And like I said today, look at other people who have done the thing that you want to do and see how long it took them to achieve success. Oftentimes you'll find that it took them a lot longer than it appeared. You might be looking at someone who's 50 years old who has all the things that you want. And if you talk to them, they might tell you a story like they didn't achieve instant success. It took them years to learn their craft and their trade and their skill. I remember meeting a gentleman who told me, he said he didn't have any money at all until he was 40. And at 40 years old, he decided he wanted to be a millionaire. And from that point on, he focused on he used all of his experience and what he knew about his career, and he focused on achieving that $1 million. And within about 5 or 6 years, he achieved it. But at the same time, he was not achieving the sort of success that other people in his field had achieved. They were much further along the way. But he was content with it because he said, that's what I wanted from life, was a certain level of success. I don't want to keep setting the carrot further and further out because I don't like the stress. I don't like the work I would have to do in order to keep climbing up the ladder of monetary success. And I don't want to become the person I would have to become in order to achieve that. There's a great movie. I know, here he goes again, right? I like old movies, I admit it. I have very little interest in current movies, though I hear there's some great stuff coming out of these television services. I don't subscribe to them, by the way. I don't have time to watch it. I don't want to spend the money for something that I have no time to watch, but I'm sure they're wonderful. A great movie, I probably mentioned it before. If I remember correctly, the title of the movie is Career, and it's Anthony Franciosa, if I'm remembering correctly, and Dean Martin, Celeste Holm, and people like that. Dean Martin, I believe, is one of the first movies he made after he broke up with Jerry Lewis, and I thought that was probably his best performance ever in motion pictures, was the movie Career. He was supposed to be a co-star, but he was simply superb at it. And the story of the movie was this gentleman, Anthony Franciosa, wanted to be an actor in Broadway. He wanted to be a successful actor. And he kept running into stumbling blocks and barriers and all sorts of things in the way to his success. He was a fine actor. Nobody was denying that. The problem was he couldn't get the notoriety. He couldn't get the vehicle that was going to take him into the general public eye and awareness. And he needed that to be successful in life. And so along the way, he despairs and he starts doing things that are counterproductive to his life and his career and etc. He takes a lot of left turns and right turns and ups and downs, and he gets married and divorced and on, all sorts of problems along the way. And eventually he gives all that up and he realizes that he wants to be an actor on Broadway, and it doesn't matter about any of the rest of it. He is simply going to stay on his path and keep working at his craft until he got to wherever he was going to get. If he was successful, that'd be wonderful, but he was not quitting regardless. Now, ultimately, because it's a movie and because it's Hollywood, it kind of sort of has a happy ending in the sense that the main character finally gets the goal that he was working for, right? And I think it's Celeste Holm at the end of the movie, just before he goes on to step on stage under the bright spotlight and get the applause of the crowd. She asks him, was it worth it? And he thinks about it. He said, worth it? He said, I don't know. And she said, was it worth it? All that stuff you went through in order to get to where you are now. Was it worth it? And he stops and he thinks and he says, yeah. He says, yeah, I think so. For me, it was worth it. He steps out on the stage under the spotlight and the audience bursts into applause. Curtain. Not on the play, but on the movie. Sometimes you just have to stay with it. I recommend that movie to anyone who is trying to accomplish something in life and is frustrated. Not only to actors and singers and entertainers, but anybody in any profession. It's about sticking with something until you achieve the success that you are after. And hopefully you don't let that success destroy you, right? Hopefully we've learned who we truly are in the world and what makes us happy, and we don't try to go beyond that in the sense of becoming someone that we don't want to be and who doesn't make us happy. Success is achieving that level of what's the word? Contentment. Success, that level of life, that socioeconomic level that fits us, that suits us, that we enjoy, and from which we can be a benefit to other people. And hopefully that brings us a greater joy right then and there, right? So that's the idea. People, particularly young people, are impatient in order to achieve success. I say, find someone in your field, interview them, find out how long it took them and how they accomplished what they accomplished, and whether or not that is going to suit you as an MO, a way of being in the world. Is it going to work for you? Do you want to be that person? And look at it that way. Success takes time. And even in relationships, we have to work at it. Whatever we're after, put the time in. And I tell folks, who are really, really desirous of that outcome, I say, look, the story isn't over yet. Your story isn't over. Let's wait and see. Keep going the direction you want to go, the direction that is calling you. And let's see how it turns out. Let's see if you get that level and that success that you wanted by the end of the story, not in the middle of it, right? Take the time. Have patience. Be grateful for what you do accomplish at the time that you do accomplish it. And keep going forward. Don't despair. And most of all, don't quit. The story isn't over yet. Let's wait till it's done before we decide whether or not it was successful. Have a great day, folks. We're looking at a new year, by the way. So hopefully you'll apply some of those ideas to what you want to accomplish in the next year. It's always good to set yourself some sort of a goal. It could be something simple. Some people say, I wanted to visit Europe this year. Well, that's cool. Go do that. Because it's not out of the realm of possibility, right? Other people want to do other things. They want to, buy a car or learn how to drive. Set yourself some sort of a goal and go after it. And when you've accomplished it, congratulate yourself and feel good about it, because the end of that particular story brought you the success you were looking for, right? Don't despair in the process. Keep going to the end of the goal, and it will come if you are consistent, right? Your story isn't over yet, right? Let's see how it all turns out. I'm hoping you'll all be pleasantly surprised. Have a great day. Talk to you next time.